Hi friends, this is Terry from the Frugal Connection, and today I want to make with you some maple pecan granola. And you can find this recipe, the recipe in my book is maple walnut granola, but I don't have any walnuts at the moment, so I decided to make maple pecan granola. And so you can find that in my new book, which is Simple and Nutritious. And you can find this on Amazon as well as my website, thefrugalconnection.com, under Terry A. Grow, which is my name, obviously. And so today I just want to show you how to do this in a way that's super simple. The thing I love about granola is you can change it up. You can add ingredients. You can take ingredients away. You can put in what you want. But there's one key ingredient in mine which is a little different because, as you know, I have worked really hard over the last 10 months and I've lost 69 pounds. And I've done it by eating a plant-based whole food diet. And one of the things that I've gotten rid of, or the things that I've gotten rid of that I don't eat anymore, are sugar, processed sugar. I don't eat oil or those kind of highly processed fats. And I've gotten rid of most processed foods. So it's my little can of chickpeas here, garbanzo beans. We're not going to use the beans, but we are going to use the liquid that is in here. It's called agua faba, and it is like this magical ingredient that is used in a lot of plant-based desserts. It mimics egg whites, basically. So I'm going to show you how to do that today. So let's get started on this recipe. I kind of have a mess here. I laid it all out so you can kind of see what I'm doing. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put our oats in this in a big bowl. And I'm using 5 cups of oats. And you know, sometimes I go a little bit over, sometimes a little bit less. But there we go. So I have 5 cups of oats, and I have prepared my pan by using a piece of parchment paper. And the trick with parchment paper, if you just crumple it up and then smooth it back out, it'll stay better in your pan. But this way you don't have to use any oil to grease the pan or anything. And my oven is being preheated at the moment to 350 degrees. So I am done with the oats. And now I'm going to add to this mixture here, I'm going to add sunflower seeds. You can use any kind of seeds that you want, but today I'm using sunflower seeds and I'm using flaxseed because that's what I have. And with flax seeds, because flax can go rancid very quickly, I keep my flax seeds and my flax meal in my freezer, and I only take out what I need for a particular ingredient. So I have those 2 things. The next thing I'm going to add to this is some cinnamon. I love cinnamon. So I'm going to throw this in here. And I just use about a teaspoon. You can use whatever you want, however much, however little you want. And that's it as far as dry ingredients goes for right now. Oh, wait. I forgot my nuts. Hold on one second because I forgot to put them out. And I'm almost to the end of these nuts as well. I'm using pecan pieces today that are just raw. You don't want to use anything with oil on it, so no roasted nuts or anything like that. Just raw pecan pieces. Or if you're going to make walnut granola with walnuts in it, you're going to use raw walnuts and whatever other nuts you choose to use. So because I'm at the end of the bag, I'm not even measuring. I'm just throwing the whole thing in. This is a great way to use up some of the extras. And now I'm just going to mix this together for a moment. Okay, just to incorporate all this. And I found granola was one of the easiest things to incorporate into this new way of eating. The only difference is the granola I used to make had about a 1/2 to 3/4 cup of oil, and this has no oil whatsoever. And that's where this next ingredient is going to come in handy. So you're going to get a can of chickpeas. It doesn't really matter how large the can is or how small because you're not going to use all the liquid. But I'm going to open this, and yes, I have a old-fashioned plain old can opener. For some reason, I can never get the electric can openers to work very well for me. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take the liquid out and I'm going to pour it into this bowl. You can just grab any large bowl, a separate bowl from your granola. All right, and I'm going to set my chickpeas to the side. And now I'm going to take my hand beater and I'm going to beat this till it starts just like egg whites, till it gets they get white and thick and stiff, just like an egg white would. And then we'll come back when that is done. I'm going to shut my sound off for right at the moment because nobody wants to hear this sound. Okay, there you have it. As you can see, it's nice and stiff. And it's just kind of cool to me that this is just chickpea water. And it helps if you can get the unsalted chickpeas for this particular thing. But if you don't, it's not the end of the world, because when I used to make granola, I would always add a pinch of salt. I don't do that for this because in this case, it's got salt in it. So it just replaces that in the recipe. But if you're trying to avoid salt altogether, and some people do, then just get the unsalted chickpeas. But anyway, as you can see, it's nice and stiff. And then what I do is I just take a measuring cup and I'm going to measure out about 3/4 of a cup of this. If it's a little bit more, a little bit less, it's not the end of the world. As you can see, it's nice and fluffy. I just think it's the coolest thing. And what I do with the rest of it, because I'm not going to use all this in this, is I'll just put it back in the refrigerator. I might need to rebeat it when I'm ready to use it again, because it does kind of deflate and turn back into liquid. But you could also use it when you're making rice to replace some of the liquid in your rice. You could add it to bread recipes. It just adds some extra protein. So anyway, I'm going to throw this in there. And I'm going to put just a little bit more since that's not quite. Okay. Set this to the side. And as you can see right here, there's my mixture. Now to this, I'm also going to add some maple syrup. And that is what provides the sweetness in this. And you can do that to taste. I use about 1/3 to 1/2 of a cup, just depending. You do not need oil in this recipe. The aquafaba alone, along with the maple syrup, I find that it works out just fine. And that aquafaba actually gives the granola a nice crunch that you would not have since you're not using oil. So that's why I add that in. Otherwise, it would just be kind of sweet, almost start to turn mushy, like oatmeal consistency. So that aquafaba will help it crisp up nicely in the oven. And I'm also going to add in some vanilla extract, and that's it. Now, to this, I'm going to add at the end, when it's done baking, I'm going to add my dried fruit. You don't want to put the dried fruit in the oven because it'll dry out even more and it actually can burn. So that is it. And now I'm going to give this a good mix till it's all incorporated. And the reason I put the aquafaba to the side is that I may find that I need a little bit more. You can go by texture. You just want all these kernels of oats, these grains of oats coated. And I find that if there's some days when I'm a little heavy-handed on the oats, that I might need to add a little more of the aquafaba into it. And you don't taste it. It's not, once the granola is all baked together and the flavors blend together, I cannot notice that there's any different kind of taste to it than just normal granola taste. All right, I think I might add just a little bit more, just because I had a lot of oats in there. And I do know, I have not done it yet, but I do know that there are a lot of plant-based recipes out there that use the aquafaba to provide almost like if you were making a mousse or something like that, that would give it some lift. Okay, I think this is all good to go. It's all incorporated well. What are we doing? That's good. Okay, so now I'm going to take my pan with my parchment paper, and I'm just using a 9x13 pan. If you end up making more by adding more oats, you're going to adjust your other ingredients accordingly, but you just use a bigger pan to bake it in. So I set my oven for 350 degrees. I'm going to put this in here. Trying not to miss the pan. I am notorious for missing things. Okay, so we're going to pat this down. We're going to kind of scrunch this all in there. And right now you're probably thinking, why are you putting it in that kind of pan and not like on a cookie sheet? There's a good reason. It will bake in here. I bake it in here for about 20 minutes like this. And I don't touch it. I don't stir it. I don't mess with it. And then I take it out and stir it, and I stick it back in the oven for another 10 to 12 minutes. And then when I take it out, I'm going to let it sit. I'm going to let it totally cool off. I'm not going to mess with it. And when it's all cool, then it'll be the right consistency. It'll be nice, crunchy granola. So I will come back and show you that part when it gets done in the oven. I wanted to mention that you don't add your dried fruit in until after the granola is finished baking in the oven. If you add the dried fruit in beforehand and you put it in the oven, it's going to dry out even more. It's going to get, sometimes it'll get burnt. So don't do that. The only thing you put in the oven is the granola with the seeds and the nuts and all the other things that I mentioned. Save the fruit till the very end. Also, when I was beating the aquafaba, it took me about 3.5 minutes to get it to that consistency. So it doesn't take long. I put it on the whip function on my hand mixer here, and that worked out just fine. Okay, so the timer just went off. It was in there for 20 minutes. So as you can see, it's starting to get brown. And I just pulled it out. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to give it a stir. And I just, because basically what you want it to do is to dry out. And so what you need to do is just stir it around, get the parts that are underneath that are moister to the top. And then you're going to pop it back in the oven for another, I'd say probably 15 minutes until it's totally dry. If at that point you pull it out and it doesn't quite, if it still looks a little on the moist side, just put it in for another 5 minutes. But and actually once I get it stirred, I'm going to kind of pat it back down, because the key here is when you take it out the second time, you just leave it alone and let it sit until it's totally cool. And then what it'll do, it'll start to get clusters like the granola we're used to. So anyway, I'm going to put this back in the oven 10-15 minutes. Then I'll show you what it looks like when we bring it out again. Okay, I just pulled it out of the oven, and there you have it. You can see it's all toasty brown. It's setting. I'm just going to leave it alone. I'm going to let this completely cool, come to, and then I'll be able to break it apart a little bit better, and it will dry. It will continue to dry out as it cools. What I'm going to add, this is truly a using up the little bits kind of day, because when I opened up my cupboard, I only have a little bit of raisins left. I only have a few little bit of cranberries left, so I think I'm just going to combine them both, throw them in there. I like either. You could use dates. One of the other things that I forgot to mention when you're doing all the dry ingredients together, sometimes I will add unsweetened coconut to it and switch out the pecans for almonds. And then I will add dates to that and make more of a tropical type flavor to that. But this is very easy to make, and that's the point of me doing these videos, is to show you that eating a plant-based whole food diet does not have to be complicated. It does not have to be expensive. It can be simple and yet it's nutritious, and it's a much healthier choice as you're trying to change your eating habits. And the main thing here is getting rid of oil, processed sugars, processed foods. And if you do nothing else, even if you want to continue to have the dairy and the meat products, I would definitely think about getting rid of those three things: the sugar, sugar, oil, and processed foods. And it will make a huge change in your how you feel, your health. And so that's why I offer up these little videos, and I hope that you find them helpful. Again, you can check out my website, thefrugalconnection.com, and my book is Simple and Nutritious, and that can be found on Amazon. And also there is a link on my website to that, and I will also put the link in the notes down below as well. I hope you're having a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.